I have a question, sure. Um, the gratitude that I feel for having this incarnation and being able to do Rudy's work is something I would like to express my gratitude to higher power for. Would you speak about that, please?
Well, probably the best way to express gratitude to a higher power, to other human beings, is through your activity on the earth. Learning to be a servant here, learning to be humble, learning to give unconditionally to other people, learning how to receive unconditionally from other people. All of this requires gratitude. And it's not just, as I always say, lip service gratitude. It's gratitude that is revealed through your actions and the way you interact with, life. And I think that is the best way you can offer up gratitude to a higher power. Be a servant of God. Now, this is not a religious thing. I don't mean, become a monk or go live in a monastery or anything, an ashram or anything of that nature. But it's just something that's deeply in a human being's heart. They want to say, thank you. Thank you for this extraordinary life that I have been given. Thank you for the miracle of life, for the sacred nature of life. And just saying it is not enough. It has to truly manifest through one's actions. The willing to do, to give, you know, I know when I studied with Rudy, my God, the stuff I used to do, I never dreamed I'd ever have to do in life. To help him with projects he had, and Big Indian and this and that and the other. And it was all done with gratitude, thanking this person who cared enough about me to make it possible for me to have a life. And when I walked away from that plane crash, that was in my heart, thanking him for allowing me to be with him the last moment of his life, thanking him for having given my life. And what I have to do now to really say thank you, how I'm going to live my life in the future. And it's all through your activity, how you interact with the world. Is how you say thank you to a higher power. We're sent here for a reason, for God's sake. The soul chooses to come to this place here. There's got to be a reason for it. We have to learn all of these things. How to live in a place where there really is little or no gratitude. People are just at each other's throats. I mean, look what goes on today. You can't even read the media without wanting to throw up, It's so crazy what's going on in the world. So how do you learn to be grateful living in a kind of minor league insane asylum?
Mm.
You have to be grateful. And then that will attract people that will accept your gratitude, accept your unconditional love, and also give it to you in return. People that are capable of transcending the madness that goes on in the world, opening their heart, being thankful for every breath. Every breath is sacred. So it's not just, getting on your hands and knees and thank you, thank you, thank you. It's how you live your life. How you live your life is the best way to show gratitude to a higher energy, or God, whatever you want to call it, higher energy.
Mm.
Rudy's last words were deepest sense of surrender. Well, what I'm talking about here is a deepest sense of surrender. of letting go of what's mine. What the hell is mine? You know, I don't want to possess anyone. I don't want anyone to possess me. I have all this art that I live with, and I don't feel like a possessor. You know, it's a welcome guest here for a while and to pass on. And in my heart, I do these classes because I'm grateful to each and every one of you that attends them. I hope that's clear, Pat, because I'm not sure how to make it any clearer.
It's very clear.
Yeah, it's, what is karma? Karma is something terrible if you don't learn how to live it with gratitude. You don't learn how to be a happy person, full of love, full of gratitude, full of service, giving and receiving unconditionally. And all I'm talking about, what am I talking about? Becoming a human being. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a saint or this or that, just learning to be human. Happy people are really enlightened people.
Mm.
I have said that 1,000 times already. Happy people are enlightened people, but find a really happy person, somebody that can extend it beyond 10 minutes. It'd be easier to find the Holy Grail. And that's what we're born here to learn. And all of that has to do with what you asked, Pat. Gratitude to a higher force in the universe that makes all of this possible. And everything that is made possible is absolutely one's teacher. We learn from it how to become more human. And to live with gratitude. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome, Pat.
Stuart, can you talk about the importance of coming to retreats with you?
Look, I don't want to promote myself, but people come. I mean, look, people come and miracles happen in those retreats.
Mm.
They're transformational. They change people. You come and spend a weekend and it you. It takes you to a whole new level of your inner work. That's what they're for. And, I mean, I have one every 2 months. And it's a very powerful weekend. I suggest it. I know it has to cost money and stuff like that, but so what? What the hell is money? It's ridiculous, What's, money is just energy. And if you're stuck in that bind where, I can't this, I can't that, just check yourself out in karma's mirror and say, why can't I do these things? Why can't I go and do these things? What in me is limited that keeps me from doing things that I need to do to develop my spiritual life? You'll find out a lot about yourself and what your real limitations are inside, and how to get over them. I mean, I remember I've told this story a lot, when I was living in Texas and I'm working my ass off, probably 18 hours a day with ashrams, with prison programs and all kind teaching at a university, for God, teaching this meditation at a university in Dallas. I mean, it was like, well, I mean, 12, 14, 18 hours was nothing every day. And Rudy comes down, and I'm standing on the porch of the house with him, and he says, "You're not working hard enough." He started to laugh. I said, "What do you want me to do?" He said, "Buy that building. Buy that building. Rudy, I have $600 in the bank. Anyone can do it with money." This is what he told me. You know, a month later, I bought a shopping center. How did I get the energy to do that? I went up to a higher source, said, "My teacher wants me to buy that building." I need, and the money came. It came. Instead of, "Oh my God, I'm so poor, I'm so this," you find that energy in yourself. You find that, that creative force inside you that can truly manifest things in life. When I was younger, I used to do it all the time. I would put myself in the most outrageous situations. And I would do it because I needed, to use those situations in order to tap a higher. The only way I could do those things without getting crazy was to tap a higher force of energy, that enabled me to have balance inside and to do them. And the amazing thing about that is it always opened up a whole new area in my life. Made so many things possible for me that I never dreamed could be possible. And that was taking that responsibility on myself, putting myself in a situation that was very difficult and really required deep, deep inner work to get the energy to make the situation successful. That opened doors that unbelievable. I mean, I won't go into all the experiences, but when I think back, I say, "Stuart, you must have been crazy." And yet, when I see what happened to my life because I took those chances, it's just amazing, amazing what took place in my life. And the energy to do these things, to live creatively, to not spend your life being afraid of money. It's all inside. You tap that energy in yourself, and it makes for a much more interesting life. We'll let you go to retreats. I'd be very happy to have you all come here and attend a retreat. You know, instead of, "Oh my God, it's so this, it's so that," and you spend the rest of your life living in that way. I've told you that story. I'll tell it again. Look, I got a phone call. This is after Rudy passed on. And Rudy had one of the biggest Oriental antique shops that the world has ever seen. I mean it. It was floors of art, and it was unbelievable. And I got a phone call from his mother, who was running that shop, that gallery. "How would you like to buy 2 truckloads of art from me?" And this is like the same thing that Rudy said. "We want to buy that building." I said, "Ray, you know where I'm living? I'm living in Baptist America here. They'll probably crucify me if I start selling Buddhas and Shivas." And I said, and I had, I don't know what I had. I had maybe $800 to my name, $1,000 to my name. And she said to me, "Think about it, Stuart." I thought about it for 10 minutes, called her back and said, "Ray, I'll do it." And I hung up the phone. I said, Stuart, you're really out of your mind. I went to New York, and this is a true story. And I went to her gallery, and she was a good friend of mine. She really loved me. I loved her. We were very, very close friends, Ray. She used to let me stay. I was the only person she used to let stay in Rudy's bedroom after Rudy passed on. Of all his students, she let me stay in his bedroom. She said, you're the only one I'll let stay here. And I went to her gallery in order to negotiate this 2 truckload deal. Everything was priced to the sky. It was nothing. It was just beyond what I could afford, what I want to invest in, what I wanted to be involved in. So at the end of the day, about 3, 4 in the afternoon, I left. I said, Ray, I went and I taught a meditation class that night. And Rudy came to me in the meditation class. And you know what he told me? He said, buy my mother a bottle of scotch. The true story. Buy my mother a bottle of scotch. So the next day I had said, I'm not going back there anymore. It was just crazy. Went there, I went to a liquor store. I bought a bottle. I knew she liked Chivas Regal. So I bought a bottle of Chivas Regal. I went down to her gallery. It was like 10:30 in the morning. Walked in the door and gave her a bottle of Chivas Regal, and she lit up like a light bulb. She couldn't have been nicer. I started going around with the price. All the prices were a third to a half what they were the day before. I mean, this bottle of Chivas Regal put me in the Asian art business. I mean, it was unbelievable, unbelievable. And and it also made it possible for me to move from Texas back to New York. I opened a gallery in New York. It looked like I was there for 20 years. So you never know. And I also put myself in debt for like, I don't know, almost $200,000. And I had about maybe $1,000 to my name. And today that's probably $1.5 million, maybe even more in today's financial. You never know. I wound up paying off the debt, and I wound up developing a very successful Asian art business in New York, ultimately selling to museums and the best collectors in the world. And it became incredible. But it took a chance. And where did I get the energy to do all this? I had to go up to a higher source and get the energy to do it. And I remember I used to get a phone call from Rudy's mother, send me money. I need money. Send me money. You owe me money. Send me money. Every day I would get. So finally I went up to Rudy and Rudy, send my mother money. I got a voice from the cosmos that bellowed out, send. So I sent her money. I said, all right, what's the difference? What am I going to hold on to? I send her money. I owe it to her, and I sent her almost, 3, 4 times a week, I would send her money. And the incredible thing is living in kind of Baptist America, it began to attract clients. People found my gallery. I had some people that used to come from Japan to my gallery in Denton, Texas, and buy all these Chinese paintings from me and all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, it's unbelievable how things work if somehow in yourself you are willing to take a chance and you go to a higher source of energy to get the consciousness, the energy to do all these things. And then they open doors. I mean, I've been in India 40 times. I've been all over the world. I mean, nothing I could have done living in Texas that I was able to do living in New York. So what I'm saying is you have to overcome the fear of living. And we're provided constantly with opportunities. And instead of cowering, all right, let me try something. Now, I know we live in a different world today, and the world is a lot more expensive today than it used to be. But it's still God's world. And the gifts and the manifestations in this world are still, we had Zoom, for God's sake. We'd had Zoom in the 1970s and 80s. We have Zoom here where people can come literally from all over America and here. She was here from Mexico, from Brazil, from sitting and doing this meditation practice. Amazing. And just to finish this tirade here, look, it's God's world. It is not our world. Everything in it is sacred. Everything in it is one's teacher. The good, the bad, the indifferent, and the ugly. It's all a teacher. And we are born here to learn how to use whatever, life presents us as a means of truly developing a spiritual life inside ourselves. And it will present us good, the bad, the indifferent, and the ugly. And then you have to build the consciousness inside that enables you to learn how to connect with a higher source because of what life is teaching. Does anyone else have a question? Anyone?
I have a question.
Yes.
Technical question. So where I redirect my energy when my head begin to blow up? The only thing I want to do is jump. So how I redirect my stress from the head without, I don't have any specific thoughts. I only have a stress here.
Yeah, I know, but then bring your attention to the chakra below the navel.
Of
Bring
everything else.
your attention down. Bring it into that chakra, and you'll stop wanting to jump. You will get rooted, you will build foundation, you will get strong enough to be able to support, the intensity of the energy flowing through you. If you don't do that, yeah, your head will make you, Kundalini energy is very strong, and you got to bring your attention to the chakra. That's the first thing my teacher ever told me. She said, focus your attention in the chakra right below the navel. It's the first thing he ever taught me. There is the core, the power, the strength inside you, the chi in you that will enable you to support the rest of the chakra system as it opens without having to jump up and down. That's the practice. That's what you're here to learn how to do. And once you learn it, then the heart opens, my God, and it can stay open. And as what the rest are. Mind gets quiet. Begin to receive knowledge from the universe, wisdom from the universe, a whole other logic than the logic of the earth. And to do what I'm talking about requires training, time. You have to work at it. We're so habituated to stay in our heads all the time, constantly thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking until we drive ourselves crazy. And you have to take that same energy and to learn how to bring it to the chakra below the navel. It will open the very core of your being, the foundation of your being. It will give you the capacity to receive knowledge, wisdom, and to live with an open heart. And because the throat chakra is open, to be able to communicate with people on a much higher level. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, then thank you. God bless you all. There'll be meditation on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you for being my.
Thank you.
You, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.